and roll is no exception. According to some observers, rock and roll is beginning to change as the musicians are experiencing some deep changes in their own lives, and of course, whatever you're doing will reflect the changes. And here's a look at Kansas. Well, that was a look at a group called Kansas. 1972, 6 musicians formed a rock band. They named it after their home state, Kansas, and it's been 11 years. They've sold over 10 million records, and it's still one of the most popular bands in the world. And by way of from Kansas, by way of Atlanta, please welcome two of their members, lyricist Kerry, Livgren, and bassist Dave Hope. And I'm going to get it right after a while, man. Delighted to have you guys with us on the program. Good to be here. You know, when you see something like that, I mean, is that the way your guys' concert looks when the kids show up to see it with the music and the lights and explosions and that sort of thing?
Yeah, that was a concert that was filmed live, so what you see is what you get.
What do they get at a rock concert? I mean, what are the guys looking for? When kids come to a rock concert, I mean, they pay $12, $13, $15 for a ticket. What are they looking for?
I think they're looking for more than just entertainment. In our experience, I've seen that these kids are really looking for heroes. They're looking for something to believe in. I think it's more than just music and a good time. And that's one of the things that really made me start thinking really seriously about what I was doing for a living and the importance of it.
But now when the Beatles have kind of come along, they call Elvis Presley the King, there was a shift that took place with the Beatles that altered the course of music, rock and roll music. Young people, am I overstating the case, or is that...
No, I don't think so at all.
No, not at all. They definitely, probably more than anybody I can think of, without, violence, have changed the world. They really have,
What was it? What did they do? What did they present? I mean, was it just their time? What happened?
I think it was kind of a cultural awakening. The American dream, well, not just American, because obviously it was happening all over the world, but kids are looking for something deeper, something more meaningful. And initially, the Beatles were just entertainment, but as the Beatles progressed in their own lives and their own search for meaning, they started to relight that in their songs, and that was really when they started to change people and change music and whole ways of thinking.
Yeah, people identified with them so much. I know I did. Just their search.
Well, young people identify with you guys. I mean, they go, you see these guys with these T-shirts on, and they start to wear their hair, and, the way their favorite rock and roll star wears his hair, and that sort of thing. And kids really are into, I mean, they literally live a lot of their lives based on what you guys say in your lyrics.
Yeah, well, like I say, kids are really desperately looking for something tangible to believe in. And whether it's us or another band or whatever, they'll latch on to it.
If they don't find that, I mean, You know, if they don't find what they're looking for, what happens?
Well, that's why you have a drug problem and suicide and all of that sort of thing. Because if you don't find that deepest need, eat and drink for tomorrow we die, because there's nothing else to fall back on.
But let me ask you something, because you wrote a song that went what, double platinum something. You know, Kansas recorded it. It was called "Dust in the Wind." You know, all we are is dust in the wind. I mean, do you guys or the writers of the rock and roll music contribute to the problem? A lot of people said the reason we have a problem with drugs is because the rock and roll and musicians, in effect, create their own monster.
No, I don't think we create it. I think we're, when I say we, I'm not including us now, obviously, but we were the ones who were suffering from it the worst, merely reflecting it, not creating it. When I wrote the song "Dust in the Wind," I was writing about a yearning emptiness that I felt that millions of people obviously identified with, because the song was very popular. And I don't think I created that emptiness. I was simply saying, hey, I feel this, and obviously a lot of other people feel it too.
That's the songs that make it big, the ones that propel the guys over the top of the songs that people say, hey, that's me in it.
Yeah, they just really feel that identification with it. I know, you know, when you're talking about, you know, not finding that fulfillment, or what happens when you don't find it in the music. I was in the same thing. I was in the music. We're all victims, you know, pretty much. Just the artists have a stage, have a setting to be able to, you know, a media to explain what's happening in their lives. Not that we're any different. We just can, you know, express it. And a lot of people can share that, and they either identify or they don't. And in the same way that we were selling, we just sold 2 albums. They both went over 3 million apiece. You know, and we were making a lot of money, and we could do anything we wanted. We just had a blank check, you know, and say, go at it. Here's the world. It's at your feet, you know, for quite a few years there. And that's when it started gnawing on me, and that's where I got into my drug problem. Because there was nothing. I mean, the album sales and all the fame and everything was not fulfilling. In fact, it was making me feel very much more empty, because all of the things that you thought were going to be, this is what life's about. Not so much, you know, whether it's money, but, you know, like, just, you know, this was my goal in life. You know, this is what I thought would be the fulfillment to accomplish something. Didn't cut it. And then I really started getting into drugs because I didn't like that feeling, that emptiness, like, you know. And so you try to cover it up. And I always, basically what I was doing in a very bad way was I was putting my life on hold until something came along worth living for. And make a long story short, Christ came in and filled that gap, because I was severely addicted to drugs. And probably just the last year I was at $40,000 I spent, you know, just on coke, on cocaine.
Wait, run that by me again?
Just the last year, as near as me and the accountant could sit down and figure it out, I spent $40,000 on cocaine.
$40,000 just on coke, not counting whatever else you did.
I could almost snow on what I snorted.
Good grief.
You know, just, it was like a, but then I found the life, and that was in Christ, without a doubt.
And we'll be back in just a moment to continue talking with Kerry Livgren and Dave Hope of Kansas right in just a moment. Don't you dare go away. Welcome back as we continue talking with Kerry Livgren and Dave Hope of the musical group Kansas. Now, you're trying to find something. You're looking for something. You're trying to, what is this thing all about? Maybe if I do what he does or she does or they do, I'll find an answer. He went to drugs and 40 grand on cocaine, etc. What did you turn into? I mean, what were you looking for, Kerry?
I turned to religion. I got very religious. I guess I sensed all along that emptiness that I felt, somewhere in the back of my mind I knew that God was what I was looking for. But that's a whole other ballgame. Where do you look for God? So I started looking into what we'd say in today's culture are the popular ways to look for God. I got into Eastern religion, various different beliefs and philosophies. I mean, it's a long story, and I've just written a book about that. But obviously the important point is that the culmination of this long search was Jesus Christ. It's the last place I looked, and it's the last place anyone ever needs to look, because there's nowhere to look after that. And Dave and I, in a way, we couldn't be more different And yet we had the same problem. And he just tried to cover it up, and I looked in the wrong place.
Oh, but at the, you know, if someone had to come to you while you were doing, you know, dust in the wind or those kinds of things, if someone had come to you and said, Jesus Christ is the answer, I mean, he's who you're looking for, that's the answer. I mean, what probably would have been you're doing 40 grand worth of cocaine, you know, spaced out of your head, you know, you're into all of these, you know, like, how would you respond to it?
Well, some people did say that from time to time as we traveled around. I'd meet people who, and my conception of what a Christian was and what a Christian believed was so, I was just so deceived, and it was so twisted that I really had no idea what they were talking about. I didn't really know who Jesus was. I thought he was a great guru or another one of the masters, you know, no more significant than any other one, and I didn't really understand sin and my separation from God. And when that finally became clear to me, my whole world came crashing down, and the Lord built up a brand new one. And it was just, what can I say? I mean, my life began in July of 1979.
Yeah, I never understood, like, Christianity to me, it was always a very religious view, and I never understood, you know, I always thought it was like you're supposed to turn into a Boy Scout. You know, you don't, you know, smoke, drink, or chew, or run around with folks that do, you know. And I never it never became in my mind that it was a personal relationship, that Jesus was, you know, literally alive, you know, and that just is a whole different ballgame. And, you know, it's not religion. You don't act like anything. And in fact, all you do is just receive the gift of life from God, and he lives his life out through you. And that's an awesome concept in itself, but it's a true one. I found that true in my own life.
What is it when you say he lives his life out through you? I mean, immediately people get these visions of these guys going to the mountains and putting his long robes, or, you know, you walk through looking at the sky, something like that. What does that mean in practical terms?
Well, it means God meets you right where you are, is what it means. We are in what a lot of Christians would consider an unlikely spot, being in a big rock and roll band, but God met us right where we are. He put us where we are for a reason, and when Christ came into our lives, like I say, that's when life began for us. We were so desperate, such desperate searchers, that God had to meet us where we were, and he does, and he will.
Yeah, that's for sure. He didn't ask us to, he didn't say, Dave, quit doing drugs, Dave, quit doing this, quit doing that. All he just said was, just let me in, accept me, receive my son. And I said, I receive you. I know, I see a need, and I had a need, and I want you. And he came in and just did his stuff, and things just started dropping off of me, you know. I mean, I don't, you know, the desire for drugs went. I smoke 4 packs a day. That went. I don't have want to drink anymore. You know, just, you know, he didn't come in and just say, you have to do this, 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 this before you're, you know, worthy. He just took me for the mess I was. Came right in, and praise God, I'm just being conformed to the image of his son. Slowly, but
you know,
getting there.
If you're sitting out there watching this thing, you know, and you're saying, well, hey, wait a minute, what are these guys talking about, man? You know, come off of it. You know, I'm looking to live. And what are they, you know, that's what you're talking about, isn't it?
That's exactly
real life.
The Bible says, he who has the Son has life, and he who does not have the Son does not have life. And those words are very haunting. I mean, it's like you're not even alive unless you have Jesus in your life. God doesn't look at men and consider them alive until the life of his Son lives in them. And I've got to tell everybody that's listening, you know, that's true. That's exactly what happened to us. And we had the best that the world had to offer.
Mm-hmm. If you know, because there are young guys out there right now watching this program, you know, who are tripping out, or who are getting ready to go get loaded, or who may be loaded right now, and they're thinking, man, you know, this really doesn't work. But how do I get to where you are? I mean, do I have to make, you know, a million seller, or do I have to go to the utmost ends of my drug-related experiences? How do I get to where you are from where I am?
Well, the simplest way in the Bible is just to call on God, and he says in his own word that he will not refuse anybody that really calls his name. With an honest, sincere, I want you in my life, you know, just right from the heart. You know, not
something this thing that's happened to us with Christ is not something that's limited in any sense. I mean, anybody who wants this life can ask for it, and it's a matter of getting on your knees and believing in Jesus. asking him into your life and letting your life begin.
I don't think you can say it any clearer or simpler than that. It's a matter of asking Jesus to come into your life and let your life begin. And whoever you are and wherever you are, you can do that right now. You can just very simply say, Jesus Christ, I want to know the reality of you in my life now, and mean it in your heart. As Dave said, he underlined it, he said, God said in his own words that he wouldn't turn away anybody who really seeks him out. And that's the bottom line. I mean, no half-stepping, come 100%. And you search for me with your whole heart, you'll find me. Gentlemen, I just got to ask you one more question, because somebody will ask me this. How do you reconcile being still members of a big rock group and being Christians?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think God put us here for a very important reason. If nothing else, it's a mission field.
I'll say.
I don't think, Ben, that there's really a need to reconcile. If we were living what I would call a rock and roll lifestyle, that would be something to reconcile. But we play in a band. We don't live the lifestyle. And we use the gift that God has given us to his glory. And it's as simple as that. If I were a carpenter, that doesn't mean the only thing I could build was churches. It means I would use my craft to God's glory wherever he put me.
Well, man, we're sure glad you could come to be with us. Here's a book. This has been written by Kerry Livgren. It's called Seeds of Change. It's just out. In fact, it's so new, he hadn't even seen a copy of it. He's seeing, as a matter of fact, I'd like to present you right here on the 700 Club with your own individual copy of your book.
I've been waiting to see this.
Thank you. And thank you very much for being on the program.
Oh, yeah.